And these are the breaks.
These are the breaks.
You know what it is.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is FREDO CERVANTES. It is Thursday, December the 8th, 2022, and these are the breaks. Guys, we're going to bring you the best news we got here going on in the sports world today. It is a quarter mark of the season, and the best two teams in the NBA are facing each other off for bragging rights. It is the Phoenix Suns in the West and the Boston Celtics in the East. The Boston Celtics entering last night's game with 20 wins in the season. And of course, a lot of people expected this game last night to be a very close game. I mean, even looking at what Vegas had going on last night, I mean, looking at the money line numbers, the spread, the Phoenix Suns were favored. Why? Because Chris Paul returned last night after missing the last 14 games for the Phoenix Suns. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Guess what happened yesterday in the desert? The Boston Celtics beat down on the Phoenix Suns as maybe I expected, maybe not the whole world, but I expected that. Why? Because honestly, Jason Tatum is one of the best players right now. I mean, looking at what Jason Tatum arrived in last night over in the desert over there, wearing that nice Kobe and MJ jacket. I mean, believe it or not, guys, fashion at the end of the day is what Jason Tatum brings on and off the courts. But looking at what the Phoenix Suns have been doing, guys, the Phoenix Suns have, 16 wins entering last night's game. Of course, they did not gain a win after getting beat down, but they're right now currently 16-9, the still best record in the West. There's a lot of trouble going on in the West, guys, but knowing that Chris Paul is now back with the Phoenix Suns, the Phoenix Suns actually can carry some momentum. It didn't seem like they had that last night, but of course, we all know that when you get a new player coming back into your team, it kind of it ruins the play that you guys been doing for the past few weeks. Because, like I said, Chris Paul missed the last 14 games. The Phoenix Suns were 9-5 without Chris Paul, so it just kind of seemed like Chris Paul was not really a big missing piece for the Phoenix Suns. But even though with Chris Paul back, they should be looking at some more success. But I mean, one of the things that really goes on, guys, I mean, we all know there's always a lot of speculation when we talk about the name, the Kardashians. And when I say that name, a lot of people are like, well, Fredo, this is a sports show. Aren't you supposed to be talking about basketball or anything else but the Kardashians? No, that is not the case, especially when the Kardashians like to get into the NBA mess. And when I say the NBA mess, they like to date, and they like to date a lot. And one of the guys that we're currently dating, of course, Devin Booker and, Kendall Jenner, they broke off. But another guy, it just seemed like it really kind of went together because Kanye West, we all know Kanye right now is a good topic to talk about in so many different aspects. But when we look at what Kanye tweets at times, you kind of have to listen and look and read. Because a few days ago, Kanye took it to Twitter, and he wasn't so nice about it, especially to his ex-wife, after saying that he caught the one and only CP3. Of course, some of you guys might not know him by CP3. His name is Chris Paul, or you may call him Cliff Paul from State Farm, which you guys can all watch him in his commercials. But it seemed like Chris Paul and Kim Kardashian has something going. That's what Kanye West said. I mean, if your ex-husband or your ex-wife goes on Twitter or social media and says, hey, I caught my ex-boyfriend or my ex-girlfriend with so-and-so, you might want to believe that, especially if it's coming out of his mouth. In this case, Kanye said it, not necessarily said it, but he tweeted it, because we know that some people have Twitter fingers. But in this case, it seems like Kanye West is speaking the truth, because till today, days later, Chris Paul has not commented on this Kanye tweet from a few days ago. He also was not asked about it last night in any, press conference or anything like that. But we understand maybe people don't want to hear about what Chris Paul might want to say, but I, or maybe you might want to hear what Chris Paul has to say about Kanye West's tweet. We're not here to blow up anything. But when stuff like that goes up on the Twitter world, we want to know. We need answers. So CP3, may you talk and we know some activity, because last night it was a little awkward too, because you see CP3, Devin Booker, then the other guy that was with the Boston Celtics was another guy dating also Kendall Jenner, which is Blake Griffin, the starting center for the Boston Celtics right now due to Al Horford not being on the court. But it just seemed like it was a Kardashian get together last night over at the desert. So that's pretty interesting, pretty funny. So make sure everyone goes ahead and check it out on Twitter. But another person who is having a little bit of trouble out there, maybe not on the court, but with some flu-like symptoms, it is Lakers Anthony Davis. Guys, it was pretty devastating. It was sad. It was a sad story. We saw on Tuesday night, the Lakers faced off the Cleveland Cavaliers in Cleveland, with LeBron returning back to his homeland. But it seemed like it only took 8 minutes for Anthony Davis to quit on the team. I'm not sure why he decided. If he had, according to reports out there, he had 103 fever degree. So 103 is pretty bad, I guess you can say. But if you attempted to step out on the court to start the game and be out there for at least 8 minutes, I would say Anthony Davis could stay in. Maybe we have a flu game, which a lot of people want to say that's a hangover game for Michael Jordan back in 1998 or 97, whenever that was. But the Lakers without Anthony Davis might get back to their losing ways, because we all know, last night, the Lakers also visited the Toronto Raptors and they got whooped. Yes, they got whooped. Maybe not as bad as Boston whooped the Phoenix Suns last night, but it was pretty bad up in Toronto, up in Canada. I've never been to Canada, but I may now ever want to go to Canada because I hear it's cold. I mean, I know, Drake is out there. Maybe that's the only reason why I might want to go out there. But Drake did not help the Lakers at all last night. So, with that being said, the Lakers are now 10-14 to start this season. So if we kind of take a step back and we look back to Media Day back in September, when we saw the roster that the Lakers had, we kind of expected to see at least a little better than 10-14 to start in the first 24 games. But I mean, despite the loss, guys, Coach Darvin Ham seems like he still has the team's ear, and they might be buying into him, which it might be seeming like it is right now. But honestly, Coach Darvin Ham really got to step up a little more and really grab onto the team, because he might kind of seem to have them by a leash right now, but you gotta put them in your bag. You got to keep them together. And whether LeBron's out and so-and-so's out, guess what? You have Russell Westbrook, Mr. Triple-Double. He's still healthy. He's the only one that plays every single game. And I don't understand till today why people want to give him some crap for not playing the proper way. But hey, guess what? He's the healthiest one out there. So with that being said, talking about health, AD, right now, his health is not all there. But one thing that is there is AD being in the conversation for MVP, possibly the Defensive Player of the Year as well, because we all know that if he can keep up this type of play, we know that Anthony Davis can be a top 5 player in the NBA today. Of course, that's been the conversation for the past few years, ever since he joined the Lakers. But after 2020, he has not been healthy, getting hurt. I mean, it just seems like maybe my son might have a better chance at playing for the Lakers with the way Anthony Davis is over here playing. I'm tired of it. I mean, this pen right here, if I throw it at Anthony Davis' leg, he might break his leg. That's how bad it is for Anthony Davis. Any little thing might hurt him. 103 degree, it seemed to hurt him for 2 days in a row. Hopefully, he steps back onto the court tomorrow night in Philadelphia, Friday night. So that's going to be a very, very good game to see, because James Harden's back. Joel Embiid's back, and hopefully we see AD and LeBron with Russell Westbrook back on the court. But one of the things that LeBron got to do, he must allow AD to take control of this game. Let AD be the driver. LeBron got to be the passenger. Maybe not the passenger, but maybe the guy in the back seat. Because it seems like Russell Westbrook at times, you just see him out there when he comes off the bench, he just brings his energy off. And maybe LeBron might want to take a step back, an extra step back, and let Russell Westbrook do some more activity out there, because it seems like if that can possibly be the case, they might go to where they want to go and possibly win a championship this year, which I don't think that might be the case, but who knows? Who knows? If they fight hard, Darvin Ham does all the right things, and Rob Pelinka, the GM, does all the right things because he has some tough decisions ahead, Rob Pelinka. He has a lot of tough decisions to make, whether to trade or not to trade. That is the question. And I'm not here to talk William Shakespeare, but believe it or not, guys, there is a lot of pressure because once December 15 hits the date here in Los Angeles, Rob Pelinka is going to be on the phone shopping some players around. Maybe Patrick Beverly, because that's a lot of speculation going out there that Patrick Beverly might be in a trade deal. So we might see Patrick Beverly's time here in Los Angeles come to an end. But another thing that might come to an end is the breaks right now, because we're going to take a small commercial break. But when we return, I have a lot more to say about the NBA, about the NFL, and about Major League Baseball. And these are the breaks.
Profanity Nation. A podcast for the fans, by the fans. Dive deep into the topics the other shows miss. Raw and uncensored.
And he's going to play team ball. His legacy is at stake.
Rare, hard-hitting interviews with players, coaches, and you, the super fans.
I'm not hating. I'm like, okay, cool. Good.
3 championships in 5 years. He's more than good, bro.
Profanity Nation. Listen live or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Powered by Jesse Brown of Keller Williams.
And we return here on These Are the Breaks. Back with myself, FREDO Cervantes, on this beautiful Thursday. Of course, you can catch these breaks every single Tuesday and Thursday, 12 Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, every time here on the Infanity Studios streaming channel. But again, guys, just sticking to the NBA, because there's another team in the East that looks very, very good right now so far are the Brooklyn Nets, guys. The Brooklyn Nets look to rebound at home last night against the Charlotte Hornets, which it kind of came down to a very, very close game down to the wire, and with the Brooklyn Nets coming up with the victory 122-116. And yes, the Brooklyn Nets did have Kyrie Irving, did have Kevin Durant. They did not have Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is still out. Not sure what the situation might be with him. Maybe he's scared to come back on the court. Who knows? Because we all know that Ben Simmons is having a lot of trouble to become the player he was a few years ago. But with that being said, one guy that just kind of is a little different is Kyrie Irving, who is no longer with Nike, ladies and gentlemen. Kyrie Irving is no longer with Nike, but still can just do it on the court and off the court, because he does the things off the court on Twitter. He posts his videos that he shouldn't be doing, but on the court, he's doing terrific. Scoring about 33 points last night against the Charlotte Hornets, shooting about 54% from the field as well, coming out with the victory. Brooklyn has been kind of building up on some low-key wins out there. They're doing very good, especially with Kevin Durant being the leader that he is, and arguably at times can be the best player in the NBA. Yes, I said that Kevin Durant at times can be the best player in the NBA, as he was the back-to-back finals MVP in 2017-2018 with the Warriors. But Kevin Durant is doing pretty good as well, shooting 58% from the field. I mean, anytime you shoot over 50%, you're a very good shooter. And with Kevin Durant's size, I mean, he's just helping the Brooklyn Nets win. And right now, the Brooklyn Nets are looking pretty good in the East. Of course, they're still at the top of the bracket there. But another team that's just down the hall from them, over here in the Madison Square Garden, are the New York Knicks taking on the Atlanta Hawks last night on ESPN primetime. And guess what? The Knicks got the win. And that's the most important thing, especially going against the self-proclaimed king of Broadway, which is Trae Young. Because we all know when Trae Young comes to Madison Square Garden, he goes nuts. Just like Kobe Bryant. At times when Kobe Bryant went to Madison Square Garden, he went off off, shooting those fadeaways, shooting the threes. I mean, beating the Garden record at one point, scoring 62 points and whatnot. It was incredible. It was crazy. But if you're going to wear those type of shoes, that Trae Young at times likes to wear, he puts his little messages on there. You got to back it up, Trae Young. You got to back it up. You cannot go into Madison Square Garden with the big old mouth, big old feet, and now back it up. All right. So Trae Young, wake your ass up. You got to do something around here. I mean, even though, Trae Young, when he's on the court, the Hawks are not the best. I mean, when Trae Young has a minus 26 on the court, the plus minus, it's not so good. That's bad. That's bad. That's maybe like having Kwame Brown on the court. That's how bad it is. So Trae Young, get off the court. Do something more valuable for your team. But someone not doing something so valuable is this shoe brand that, I mean, at times you want to look at it and you might be like, Fredo, what the hell are you talking about? Yes, I'm talking about Balenciaga. Some of you guys might be, what did you just say? It's Balenciaga. That's what I just said. They are under fire for the most recent ad campaign that they seem to be promoting some very pedophilias, yet surprisingly, they're not canceled yet. At times, when you see any company, any human being, or just anybody, anything, it just seems like you got to pay the price. And a lot of times we see when Kyrie goes up there, Kanye does something. They're like, no, we don't want no more Kanye. Kanye says something, let's cancel him. Or Kyrie's posting these crazy videos, he's canceled. Or Trump tweeted this, he's canceled. It's like, no. It's like, let's look at certain things that really got to get canceled. Because when you look at this Balenciaga shoe brand, some of you guys might want to Google that right now. It might be like, Fredo, what the hell are you talking about? Look it up. Look it up right now as we speak, because we want to see where that same outrage and the same culture that, hey, let's cancel so-and-so. Where is it at for this shoe brand right here with the things that they're doing up there? I mean, I want to explain it to you guys, but I'm pretty sure it might be better for you guys to look it up. Again, if you don't know how to spell it, it is Balenciaga. So look it up. Look it up, because this media, at times, it can be hypocritical. It can be. I mean, we all know that. You see a lot of things out there in the media, and you see who has power, who doesn't. And that's what it matters at the end of the day. And certain people want to cancel Kanye, which he seems like he's being canceled because Adidas left him. Nike left Kyrie. They're being canceled. So with that being said, why are certain other people not being held to the same sort of standards that these two people are being held to, So we got to wake up and realize that there are other things that we can put our focus to, and not just Kyrie and Kanye. Even I want to know what Kanye has to say about CP3 and Kim Kardashian. I'm still waiting for that. But another thing I'm waiting for, and maybe not just me, is the Bay Area. The Bay Area are waiting to see what the holdup is for Jimmy Garoppolo. Of course, anybody watching the 49er game over the weekend, we noticed that Jimmy Garoppolo is no longer the quarterback of the 49ers. And it's not because he got traded. It's because he got hurt. They said that it was a broken foot. He said, no, I'll be back in about 7 to 8 weeks. That is the speculation right now up in San Francisco, with Jimmy Garoppolo maybe expected to be back in about 7 to 8 weeks. But you kind of look at it, that's about the NFC Championship game. So in order for Jimmy to make it back to the Niners got to get to the NFC Championship first in order to see Jimmy Garoppolo back. But if the Niners can make a deep run, let's say they make a deep run. Let's say, because we know they got Christian McCaffrey, they got Deebo Samuel, they got Nick Bosa, George Kittle. I mean, they got some players. But let's talk about Brock Purdy. I mean, yeah, Brock Purdy. You might be like, well, I never really heard that name. Yeah, I never really heard of him either. But Mr. Irrelevant is bringing, can he bring them? That's the question. Can Brock Purdy bring the 49ers to the promised land, or at least to the NFC Championship game, in order for Jimmy Garoppolo to come back and do something incredible? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that even though Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a little behind still, they're at 6 wins right now. Tampa Bay, the way Tom Brady played on Monday Night Football against the New Orleans Saints with an incredible comeback. Incredible. I don't know. I feel that there's still some hope that Tampa Bay might be able to kind of overcome the 49ers, even though the Niners might seem like the best team right now in the NFC. That was prior to Jimmy Garoppolo getting hurt. But with him being out of the picture, who knows how the Niners are going to look. But one thing I do know is that Von Miller is not looking so good right now. Von Miller is out for the season after getting an ACL tear in his left knee. It is a sad, sad story for Von Miller because this is not the first time it happens to him, and it is not the second time, and maybe not the last time, because we all know that Von Miller was traded last season from the Denver Broncos over to the Los Angeles Rams, and guess what? He won a ring, and he booked it. He said, adios, I'm going to Buffalo, and he went to Buffalo and tore his ACL. That's exactly what happened, and Buffalo has no replacement for Von Miller. I mean, when you look at that type of caliber player, it's hard to replace that player. It's hard, very hard. It's the same situation that the Chargers are dealing with. They can't replace Joey Bosa's disappearance. They just can't. It's very hard when you lose a player that's so talented. And it's just like Aaron Donald from the LA Rams as well. When Aaron Donald's not out there, the Rams are not the same type of team. They're not, especially on the defensive end. But with Buffalo winning that game still, and now Buffalo's tied up with the Chiefs, are 9-3 in the AFC. Can the Buffalo Bills hold on without Von Miller and still make the playoffs, or even make a playoff run to the Super Bowl? I don't think so, man. I mean, even though Kansas City is better than Buffalo, Cincinnati looks to be better than Kansas City right now, and so that means that they're better than Buffalo. And Baltimore is Baltimore. I mean, and we got the Miami Dolphins as well. Miami's playing incredible with Tua Tagovailoa, who is coming over to SoFi Stadium to face the Chargers and Justin Herbert on Sunday Night Football this Sunday. So it's going to be a pretty good excitement in the AFC because it seems like all the good teams, and I guarantee you that the Super Bowl champion is going to come out of the AFC. There's just too many good teams out of the AFC. And we're forgetting to talk about the Tennessee Titans as well. The Tennessee Titans are very good. Very, very good. They'll be at SoFi Stadium facing the Chargers in about 2 weeks. So it is something to go ahead and look out for. But another team, and we want to go ahead and, maybe highlight this team here on these breaks, but it is the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys are America's team. It's not Fredo's team. It might be Infanity Studios' team, because when you back with the Dallas Cowboys, they're too good. The way they beat down on the Indianapolis Colts this past Sunday on Sunday Night Football, 54-19. Are you kidding me? 54-19. That seems like the score that the Boston Celtics were beating on the Phoenix Suns, almost by 40-some points. Damn almighty. But, the quarterback, Anthony Brown, may have torn his Achilles. There is a lot of speculation on that. The reports have not verified that yet, as I am reading. But with that being said, there might be down one player in Dallas, but it seems like another player might be coming. It's Odell Beckham Jr. That's someone to be looking forward to, because if Odell comes to Dallas, mighty oh my, they might be the best team in the NFL once that happens. But they do face their neighbors, the Texans, this upcoming week. So that seems like it could be an easy game right there. You're facing the Texans. That's easy. Let's kind of get rid of that point right there, because I don't even want to talk about that. That's how boring that game's going to be. But the Philadelphia Eagles are a very good team. They're a very, very good team, but I'm not a buyer in Jalen Hurts. I mean, Jalen Hurts is too young. Too young. That's why I didn't even mention that Philadelphia is a very good team in the NFC. I still take the San Francisco 49ers with what they got right now over to the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, even though the record says it, they're 11-1 right now. They're looking like the Super Bowl favorites, but keyword, they are looking like the Super Bowl favorites, because I don't think that maybe the Philadelphia Eagles can't even win a playoff game. They might not be able to. It's going to be very hard, because their first matchup might be, say, a Dallas Cowboys team. It might be a New York Giant team, or it might be the Minnesota Vikings, So the Minnesota Vikings are also doing terrific out there in the NFC, winning that division over the Green Bay Packers. But with that being said, let's move down to the other side of the coast, which is the best coast, the West Coast. Right now in Los Angeles, it seems to be a mess. It is just a mess in Los Angeles. The Rams and the Chargers are dealing with injuries that don't even look like they might make the waves in the playoffs this year. They might not. They might not make it to the playoffs. Neither team. But as of right now, the Rams are 3-9. The Chargers are 6-6. Kind of lets you know at least one team's at least in the hunt to make the playoffs. But with that being said, the Chargers do face one of the best teams in the AFC, which is the Miami Dolphins on Sunday Night Football this upcoming Sunday. But I don't know, man. I honestly do not know what's going to take for both of these two teams to do something. Besides the Los Angeles Rams picking up on Baker Mayfield yesterday. They picked up on Baker Mayfield off the waiver wire through the North Carolina Panthers. So with the Carolina Panthers releasing Baker Mayfield, it's going to be pretty interesting because a lot of people want to compare Baker Mayfield to Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel was one of the best college quarterbacks of all time. But once he made it to the NFL, it just seemed to fall apart. He decided to buy the outside life of being an athlete than to bind the athlete life and then enjoy your life on the outside. And it's just he seemed to get in the wrong car and headed on the wrong road. And that's exactly what Baker Mayfield is doing in his first 4 or 5 years in the league. But another team and in another league who is doing not so good right now, even though they were the best team in baseball last season, winning the most games and winning a franchise record of the most victories in one season, it is the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers, it seems like they lost everyone. It seems like Trey Turner decided to take an 11-year deal worth $300 million. That's a lot of money. But that's a lot of years as well. 11 years. According to some reports, the Dodgers were only willing to go 8 years. And that's still a lot. 8 years is still a lot. By the time 8 years hit, I'm almost going to be 40. That's a lot. So with that being said, Trey Turner said, no, I'm taking 11 years. I'm taking guaranteed money, which at the end of the day, that calls you a sellout. You went and you chased the bag, which another guy that we kind of opened the door from, like, hey, go by all means, go ahead and go find another team. It's Cody Bellinger decided to move to Chicago. He went over and signed a 1-year deal with the Chicago Cubs. So I honestly, one key thing about Cody Bellinger that I did like over his 5-6 years he was here in Los Angeles is he is healthy most of the time. He is one of the best defensive outfielders the Dodgers have ever had, especially also playing first base for the majority of the time. That's going to be a key thing that the Dodgers are going to miss from Cody Bellinger. They're not going to miss his bat because, believe it or not, I may bat better than Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger bats about 150. That's crap. But when he's out on the outfield, he has a Gold Glove. He's catching everything out there. So that's going to be pretty good with Cody Bellinger now out of the picture in Chicago. But what do the Dodgers need to do next? Like, are they just being too cheap, or do they really want to compete? Like, you got, yeah, I don't know. They could be cheap because if they were willing to let go of Trey Turner for not adding a couple more years, a couple more millions of dollars to maintain a shortstop in Los Angeles, they didn't do that. They also did not want to extend the offer to Aaron Judge and give him 7, 8, 9, 10 years. They only wanted to do 6 years. I mean, it seems like the Dodgers are always playing it safe, whether it's calling it cheap or playing it safe. Either or, they're playing something. But yeah, like I mentioned, Aaron Judge signed that big contract worth almost $360 million. And it seems like he decided to bet on himself. He decided to bet on himself and stay in the Big Apple in New York with the Yankees. So with that being said, another guy that decided to chase the bag at the age of 39 and is late in his career is Justin Verlander, another Cy Young Award-winning pitcher that won 2 championships with the Houston Astros back in 2017 and 2022. He decided to walk over to the New York Mets. So when you look, take a second. When you look at the 2 best starting pitchers technically in the National League now, you look at Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander with the New York Mets. That's your 1-2 punch. Wow, that's great. But guess what? They're old. They're trash now. It seems like it, because when you're going to bet on these 2 pitchers and pay them over $40 million just to pitch 1 out of 5 nights, these old men are not going to be able to keep up, especially going deep into the playoffs. We saw what happened with Max Scherzer last year with the New York Mets. We saw the devastating breakdown that he had, back-to-back losses, humongous losses. And that is the reason why the New York Mets got eliminated early in the playoffs. So with that being said, Justin Verlander, $86 million, you got the bag. You got the bag, and the New York Mets got another easy route to elimination playoffs. That's what it seems like. But ladies and gentlemen, that was an amazing time to have you guys down here. Listen to me talk my sports. And at the end of the day, guys, again, I just want to let you guys know that today is Thursday. Just in case you did not know, today is Thursday. It is December the 8th. And guess what? These are the breaks. I'll see you guys next Thursday, 3 Eastern, 12 Pacific here on the Infanity Studios.